Hi, this is Nisa with Nisa's Variety Show. And today we are going to talk about my three daughters. You guys may have already saw this show, but I had to redo this show because I had some problems with my health that showed up in the video of the last show. So I wanted to redo it now that I'm feeling much better. Okay. All right. But as you know, these are my three beautiful daughters. This is my oldest daughter. This is my middle daughter, and this is my youngest daughter. I love my three daughters with my entire heart. They are my sweethearts. I couldn't imagine life without them. They are the most wonderful things that has ever happened to me in my life. But I would like to say why I am talking about them today. Here's some more photos of them. It's a little different. This is my oldest daughter when she was about 20. This is my middle daughter when she was about 13. And then this is my youngest daughter when she was about 8. So right now they are 31, 26, and 19. And also these photos here are some older photos of them also. On this photo, my youngest daughter was 14, my middle daughter was 17, and my oldest daughter between 20 and 22. You know, as a mom, it's kind of hard to remember. You have so many photos of your children that you have to kind of figure out when they were taken. But anyhow, I wanted to talk about their age gap. They were born 6 years apart. And I kind of did that on purpose because I was born back when people had their children all together, and my mother had me and my sisters. I'm one of three. I am the middle sister, and I am something that they called during my time a stair step. And me and my sisters are pretty much about 18 months apart, if even that long. My mother was 18, 20, and 21 when she conceived me and my sisters, or my sisters and I. And so we were really close in age. And we grew up together. And when my mother was 50 years old, she was an empty nester. And she could still do so many things. I would call her for a whole day sometimes, and she wouldn't even be at home. And when I would finally get in touch with her, I would be like, Mom, where you been at all day? I've been trying to call you. And she said, oh, I've been out with such and such, and we did this and we did that. So she wasn't that old granny type that, you know, you kind of get used to as grandma, you know. It's my mother. She had her 3 children and she got them out the way, and she was a young grandmother because my oldest sister had only one child, and she had her when she was 18. And my mother was a young grandmother. It was kind of the same way that it started out with my mom. But the reason I wanted to talk about this is because having my daughters 6 years apart was pretty much a major mistake, because they grew up being more like acquaintances than being siblings. Even now, they barely talk to each other. They don't have the same friends. They don't have the same interests. They do have some similar interests, but not much. They have their own friends. They have their own interests. They just don't really hardly do anything together. They never go any place together. They don't make plans to vacation or do anything together. And it saddens me that it's that way. And my two oldest daughters, they grew up where like my oldest daughter, when my middle daughter was born, she hated being a big sister. She did not want to help me, to do anything. She didn't want to play with her sister. She didn't want to have a sister. And she vowed throughout her life that she would not have anything to do with her. And she pretty much, till this day, does not have anything to do with her middle sister. And when they were children, she did a few mean things to her, but she refused to help as a big sister. And so now that she's 31 years old, she has chosen never to be a parent, because it was a huge shock to her to have to become a big sister after 6 years of mostly being an only child and having everything to herself. I think she never got over it, and I think she has never, ever, ever forgiven me for it. And I really wish she would. I love her. I'd love to have a great relationship with her, but it's something that she just has never gotten over. So it's not much I really can do about it. Another thing I would like to say is that my two older daughters, I was able to teach them a lot of things when they were growing up. How to ride a bike, how to swim. I kind of had a hard time with my middle daughter and the swimming part, so she did go to swimming lessons. But a lot of the other stuff I did teach her, and I did teach all of that to my oldest daughter. But by the time that my youngest daughter came along, I couldn't anymore. I couldn't get out there and do all of that stuff anymore. I just was not built anymore. I have arthritis that runs in my family, and I have some of it, and I couldn't get out there, and so I had to pay people to teach my youngest daughter all the stuff that I should have been able to teach her. And so if I would have been like my mother and had my daughters all together, then they would have all learned at the same time. Me and my sisters, we all learned how to swim at the same time. We all learned how to ride bikes at the same time. We all had a lot of the same friends. We have, back where I'm from in the South, we have lots and lots and lots of friends from different graduating classes from our high school, because we all went to the same high school. And people remember us. They call us by our last name and call us those sisters. And so we made a lot of friends, and we have a lot of friends, and we have a lot of people who remember us because of that. But my daughters don't have that. They don't have anything in similarity when it comes down to friendships or any of that type of stuff. You know, when one daughter was doing one thing, the other daughter was doing something else. You know, and one thing I have to cover that I forgot to cover in the first video about this is, now listen to this part very, very, very well. I went through the teenage years 3 times. My mom went through the teenage years 1 time because she had 3 teenage daughters that was doing everything at one time all together. But me, I went through the teenage years 3 times. Soon as I thought my head was out from under the water, here I went again with this teenage years stuff. And parents who have gone through the teenage years know what I'm talking about. It's when one day when your daughters are, oh mommy, I love you, I want to live with you forever, I can never see myself without you, mommy, to the next time when they say, I hate you, I can't stand you, you make me sick. Okay? And when they're sitting with you on the couch and they're all hugged up, and you know, to the next time when you can't even get them to sit in the same room with you. So some of you parents out there already know what I'm talking about. So it goes from that to that. So that teenage year stuff that I'm talking about. And so I had to go through that 3 times. 3 times. When if I would have just had these 3 people right here within 18 months apart of each other, then I would have just went through that 1 time. And I wouldn't have had that issue. It would have been over with. So have your children close together. That's all I'm trying to say. Have them close together. And another thing I wanted to talk about is I had my youngest daughter at the age of 33. And you know, people say, oh, 33 for this time that we live in now is not too old. But really, yes it is. For me, it was. It really was. Because when I turned 43, she was 10. And so on and so forth. And so it gets difficult the older you get and the younger your children are, because the older you get, you don't really feel like doing all that stuff that you once did. Like now, I love to watch a good movie, but I love to watch a good movie in my bedroom, in my bed where I'm the most comfortable, and I can get whatever kind of snack I want, and I can run to the bathroom whenever I feel like it. And I don't, I don't have to be like, what did I miss, or any of that kind of stuff. And So my youngest daughter, she still loves to go to the movies and stuff like that, and she wants me to go, and I never want to go. You know, my legs cramp up at the movie theater, and I just don't like to go anymore. But 10 years ago, I loved to go. It was at a point in time when I probably went 2 or 3 times a week. But now you can't get me in there. And she doesn't have a lot of friends out here in the desert, but she has some family. So she does get there, and she does have some people to go with. But sometimes she wants her mom to go. And the other thing about being 33 and having a child is the older you are when you have children, you are more susceptible to having things like birth defects and other stuff like autism and things like that go on now. And so my GYN doctor, I talked to him about this situation, and he told me, he's retired now, but he told me, he said, now this is what he said, and not me, but he said this, and he's a doctor, he has a PhD, I don't have one. And he told me this, and whether it's true or not, I'm not really sure. So don't go around telling people that I said this. Go and research it for yourself, because I'm not telling you to do anything, but I do know what happened to me. I had my daughter at 33. My doctor told me after age 28 that my eggs were considered old. They were geriatric after age 28. Now, did my daughter come out with some issues? Yes, she did. Does she walk, talk, act normal? Yes, she does. Can you tell what's wrong with her? Not if you don't really know her. You can't tell. She did have something that a lot of children have now. And she has it too. She's the most sweetest, wonderful, beautiful person you will ever meet. And has one of the greatest personalities. She can be a little blunt when talking to you, but I have learned to live with that part, because I found out it's part of who she is. And I'm perfectly okay with that. So all I'm saying is, when you spread your children out, it makes for a difficult growing up for them. My children didn't feel a bond of family, because it was like 3 different lifetimes. For me, it was like 3 different lifetimes. Even now, because I never see this daughter. She lives in another state. I never see this daughter. She lives in another state. And it's just me and this daughter now. And we live in another state from the other 2 daughters. And so we're just living our lives just like it's just she and I. And so we're doing the best that we can do. I realize that they're out there, but we're like acquaintances. We're not like a true family. We're not all close at all. because everything was so spread out. If I could go back, and you can't go back, but if I could go back, and I said this in my other video, I'd love to know what some of my family members' personalities were like, so I'd probably visit some of those areas. But I would go back and have my children all close together. I would wait about 18 months to 2 years, and at the most 3. And I would have them all together so that they could really know each other, so they could have great bonds. My sisters and I, we all had, if one went on a date, we all had to go on a date. So some guys hated to ask one of us on a date because they knew the other 2 had to go. And they had to pay for everybody. Can you imagine asking one sister on a date and you got 3 dates? That's just how it was. You know, we did everything together. We played dolls together. We went swimming together. You know, we did everything together. We had such a beautiful friendship within our own home, within our own selves. And then the other thing is, when I was growing up, me and my sisters, we had a little rivalry, you know, and we thought telling on each other was hurting the other. But I'm here to tell you that my sister telling on me was the best thing that ever happened to me. Let me tell you, the best thing that ever happened to me. Because I didn't get on drugs. I didn't get pulled into any alternative lifestyles. I didn't get messed up in the streets, because as soon as my sister thought I was going somewhere without her and was gonna do something fun that she wasn't gonna get to do, she was going straight to mom or she was going straight to dad. And they'll be like, "Set your butt down, you ain't going nowhere." And the same thing with my sisters. I would be like, "Mom, she thinks she's going with such and such," or "Dad, she thinks she's going," and they be like, "She ain't going nowhere. You don't worry about that. I got that." And we all growed up to be pretty successful in a lot of ways because we had each other's back. Now, my daughters, they might have had each other's back, but they were too spaced out to really know what having the other one's back really was. You know, my daughters came up in an age when the internet became very prevalent. And me as a parent, I was like, nobody's gonna know who I am. No one's gonna get into my business, and my privacy means a lot to me, and I don't want anyone to know who I am and what I'm doing and blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? That cost me. Because the internet will raise your children. Do y'all hear me? The internet will raise your children. And you see these 2 children right here? Or that keeps bumping into that. You see these two children right here? This one and this one. The internet interfered in their raising. And me, with my foolish ways, refused to accept the internet. And because of that, things happened. So parents, you got to know this internet is out here. Look at me. I'm free to say all of this. I'm free to say everything I'm saying. And there's going to be other people out there free to say everything they want to say. And they may be saying it in a way where your children are going to be willing to listen. So you got to be right on top of it. Because the internet will raise your children for you. So you have got to be the one that's on top of that internet and listening to what's going on with that. And if they had been closer in age, one of them would have came and said, "Oh, Mom, this one over here is being inappropriate on the internet. They're talking to someone they're not supposed to be talking to." Because they all knew the rules, but they all knew the rules at different times in their life. So I had to get on the internet and put this on Nisa's variety show, because this is something that greatly affected my family. And I would change it in a heartbeat if it could be changed. If technology would allow me to go back in the future, one of my favorite movies, I would go back in the future so fast and change that scenario that it would make your head swim. Okay? So young people out there, come on, think about it. Don't say, "Oh, I'm going to have this child's 5 years old, then I'm going to have another one. This one's 15, then I'm going to have this child." Don't do that to your children. Don't. But you know, it's not my decision. I made my decision. And I can't go back. I don't have a time machine. I can't change it. All I can do is tell you what my experiences were with that. And I can tell you about my experience as having a close bond and relationship growing up with siblings who were close to me. Even though I thought then that I didn't like it. And I didn't care anything about that. And thought it was, wasn't worth it. But I found out it was ever more so worth it than anything in the world. Because my big sister telling on me saved my life. My baby sister telling on me saved my life. Do you hear me? It saved my life. When I think back over some of the things that I got ready to do and some of the people I got ready to do it with, I really would have been screwed, trust me. Okay? Now, I just wanted to talk about this one more time and make a better video because, like I said in my last video about my children being 6 years apart, I had a health issue. And I did not realize it until a good friend of mine called me and told me to look at something and to check something out in the video. And so I did, and I realized, and I talked to the doctor about it, and I actually did have a health issue. So I just wanted to come back with this because I had to delete that video, and so here I am. But anyway, I want you guys to like and subscribe and share. Please share. This video right here is a very important video to share. You know, at the very least, it will help someone to initiate thought about some of this stuff, whether they listen or not. You know, it will make them think about things. And that's all it takes, is thinking about things. Now, so like, share, and subscribe. Now, the other thing is, see these beautiful bracelets? I make these beautiful bracelets. That's some rose quartz. And that's some crystal quartz there. And then I have a rose quartz necklace on. And check out my little jar earrings. I made those. And I made all these beautiful bracelets right here. I love green, and olive is my favorite. Oh, I love them. I just love that color. It's my all-time favorite. And then if you look back behind me, you see my darling daughters. But if you can see back over here, you see some more of my necklaces, and some of my stone necklaces are there. And over here is my daughter's part of her store. This is not all of it, but it's some of it. If you're into anime, her Instagram is called Sam Anime Merch. So if you're looking for any type of anime figures or plushies or anime jewelry, you can go on there, and you'll be able to find that stuff. So, okay. All right. Well, thanks for listening, and I love you guys, and take care. Have a great night, and I have a lot of good videos coming up. Oh, and by the way, if you watch my fruit relish video, I did leave an ingredient out. I forgot to put the, what did I forget to put in there? The grapefruit. Grapefruit. I like grapefruit in it. So since I made the video, I did put the grapefruit in there, but I'm just telling it on the end of this video. I may go back in there and try to change that and add it to the end of that video, but I'm not sure. But I'm just letting you guys know, in case you look at that video and you don't see the grapefruit, it does have grapefruit too. All right. All right, talk to you later. Have a great evening. Bye.